So 200 series, 1977 to 2003, shutter in the body, camera body, which means that they could make the lenses faster because they didn't have to worry about a shutter in them. So all of the lenses that are dedicated to the 200 series camera are all about a stop faster than the comparable Hasselblad CF lenses or CFE lenses. So this is the 110 f2, which is one of the nicest lenses anyone ever made. And this is a 120 f4 macro. And so the 50 millimeter for this camera was 2.8, the 150 was 2.8. The 250 was f4, and all of the corresponding lenses for the 500 series were all a stop slower. The 80 is 2.8 for both cameras. I'm not quite sure how they managed to pull that one off. It was $8,500 Canadian when it was new, which was a hideous sum of money. I actually bought this one new old stock for about $1,500 about a decade ago. And it was just sitting in the box, had never been sold because nobody was crazy enough to buy it. It's a deceptively complicated camera. It has 1/2000th of a second top shutter speed as compared to 1/500th. But the shutter, the photo or the sync speed on this one is halfway between 60th and 1/25th, so about a 90th of a second. Whereas you can sync at every shutter speed with the leaf shutter lenses. The other thing about this camera is it has a meter in it. The E is for electronic and F is for focal plane. So you can set the camera. You set your shutter speed, and you can set either your aperture or your, you can have aperture priority or you can have shutter priority. Actually, can you have shutter priority? I'm not sure if you can. I'm not sure if anybody knows. The only way I ever use it is aperture priority. So I just set it to f2, and it picks the shutter speed, and it will. In there somewhere, the meter, which is amazing, it's a center-weighted meter, will actually select shutter speeds 1/12th of a stop. So you can go in half stops if you're shooting manually, or you can go. It's incredibly accurate. And it actually results in both nice transparencies and nice negatives, which is nice. Great, unlike my Mia 6, which totally underexposes everything. So the system for the 200 FE, you can see there's these little blue stripes. There we are, blue stripes. That if I had the E12 back, what you could do is you can actually set the film speed on your back, and it would talk to the camera, and it would tell it what the film speed is, so that when you would change your backs, if you went from 160 to 400, for instance, the camera would know the correct film speed, and then would correspondingly change the shutter. Lenses. I should talk about lenses. So this lens only works on this camera, but these lenses, all of the C and CF lenses, work on the focal plane body. And all you do is you just put the lens on, set it to F for focal, and you're good to go. Just like that. And then you can set your shutter speed, you set your aperture, and the shutter speed will correspondingly come through the lens. Or through the camera. The only problem is that in order to get the metering to work with the CF lenses, you actually have to stop down, which you don't have to do if you're using the CFE lenses. But I don't have any of the CFE lenses, or actually even any of the FE lenses. That's an old F lens from probably 1980. So I have to stop that one down if I want it to work properly, but that is not that big of a deal. So the backs are interchangeable, which is nice. But the prisms, for instance, you have to be very careful because that, I don't know if you can see that, there's a notch there, and that, where it's flat across the top, so this prism works on this camera, this prism works on both of them, but you have to be careful if you have a 200 series camera that you actually have the matching prism, otherwise it just won't go on. And so it's the same thing with, let me see. Actually, no. It's just the prisms. I guess is the only major issue. The backs are fine. They all just snap on like every other film back. And this is actually something that I wanted to talk about really quickly. This is the winder that goes on the 203 FE, and it probably is the ugliest piece of industrial design really ever designed. It's you take this guy off, and then it just goes in. I mean, it does have it's actually kind of funny. It actually clips into your the camera strap, and then it has another camera strap lug there, so you don't lose your lug. But holding it it's on the same side as the shutter button, and it's really uncomfortable. I mean, given that the 503 winder is one of the more comfortable pieces of camera equipment ever designed, this is one of the most uncomfortable, and it winds at a paltry 1 frame per second. So it really, I have it, and I really almost never use it. So, you know, for what that's worth. The camera itself is, you know, it's like when we reviewed that Bronica, when you look at it, you think, God, you know, it's extremely well laid out, and there's lots of very clever, you know, aspects to it. I mean, the battery, which is a little A544 PX28L, I think is what it is. Same batteries you use in Pentax 6.7. Easy to get, which is nice. Apparently, if you put the battery in backwards, you'll fry the electronics, so I absolutely make certain that I put it in properly. It has a little tray. Apparently, it eats batteries. Someone said that, and I find it isn't a problem. But you know, for what that's worth, I always have a couple around just in case, because this camera will not work without a battery. It's completely dead. Whereas this camera, you know, doesn't even, you know, there's no batteries at all in it. So it's not like a Leica where it'll default to a shutter speed if you run out of batteries. It just totally dead, won't work. You've got a little control wheel here that you can change from, you know, programmed D. I don't even know what the D, I have to read the manual again. I've got A for aperture, which is what I do, and M for manual, which is what I also do depending on if I'm in the studio or not. On the other side here, you've got mirror lockup and self-timer. So that locks the mirror up. And you hit it again, and it gives you a self-timer, a little flashing red light there. And the other thing that's interesting about this camera is that it has the meter has an automatic return, which is really nice. So when you take a photograph, the mirror comes right back down again, as opposed to on the 500 cm, when you take a photograph, the mirror is locked up until you wind the body and get the mirror back down again. So it's nice to be able to see back through the camera again really quickly. I'm not quite sure what the problem was and why they couldn't do that on this camera, but anyway, it's not important. It's an amazing camera. I mean, this is the lens. You know, this lens really is what it's all about. And the lens is incredible, and I love shooting with this lens. And it's almost exclusively this one lens on this camera. And I've taken, you know, like I was saying, hundreds of rolls of film, and it's been very, very, you know, it's been great. I really, really love shooting with it. And you know, I mean, it's a bit of a pig. You know, by the time you get a film back on it and put a lens on it, I mean, several pounds of glass and metal. I mean, you know, it's hardly a mirrorless camera, but the results are totally worthwhile as far as I'm concerned. And it's been a great addition to my collection. And and every so often I'll shoot with it like crazy for a couple of months. I'll go on vacation with the family or something like that, and then I'll put it away and come back to it later. And every time I pick it up, I think, oh yeah, this is nice. It works really well for me. So there you go. So there's a few little tidbits about this camera. It is pretty obscure, and but I really love shooting with it.